Okay, so it's just after the workshop um, on Tuesday afternoon. I wanted to extend this a little further to add image loading. The first workshop suggested a couple of shows, The Tribe and The Mandalorian. The second workshop suggested Shameless and Shogun. Um, we can see that these work and display things. The Tribe doesn't have metadata, so it doesn't display anything for the episode summaries. All right, let's have a look at image loading. The first thing we need to do is we need to access this image object, and we need to get maybe the medium version of the image from the episode. So how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to extend our codable model a little bit more. I'm going to call this image data, I guess. So if I go into my episodes table view, here is, it's called images, right? Image, just image. So I'm going to create a new thing called image, and image is going to be it's going to be image data, and it's going to be an optional. Let's assume that it doesn't exist for everything. So I need to create image data. So let's do that. Struct image data. Let me not create typos in this. It needs to conform to codable, and it needs to have something called medium, which is just going to be a string. Okay, now given we've got an initializer, we need to specify how this property gets set. And how I would do that is by image, and it's optional, so this would be try this. For the container, we ask the container to decode, and the type of the thing we're decoding is just image data .self, and the key is my image thing from coding keys. So, and the order here doesn't matter, so I'm just going to put this up here and leave the optional one by itself, so it's a bit easier to see. So that's us making the change. I mean, if we weren't doing this removing of the paragraph tags from summary, we could have just left it like this, and literally we'd just be adding that this image property is an object and this thing has a medium one. If you also wanted the other property here, you could also specify original in here. So I mean, I could do that as well, I guess. But given we're only going to display this very small, let's just put it in here. So we can just do a quick check and make sure the app runs, that it's loading that okay. Yep. Looks all right. Okay, great. So now what we would want to do is update our cell to be able to display this. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go in here, find the cell I have for an episode. Here's my label constraint, my label, and it's got a constraint at the bottom that constrains it to the super view. So I'm going to delete that one. And now I'm just going to drag this down so I've got a bit more space. And I'm going to put an image view in here. Image view. So here's my image view. I'm going to put a constraint between this label and the image view. I don't know what this needs to be, 6. I'm going to constrain the image view to the sides of the super view and to the bottom of the super view by 0. I'm also going to set an aspect ratio on this image, and it's going to be just the default aspect ratio it is now. So we add those constraints. But I'm going to modify the aspect ratio one to be multiplier. And it's got a 16:9, which is good for widescreen. So that makes this this size. So give me a second here. I'll just drag this out so there's a bit more space so you can see what it looks like. Let's just run this now. It should work if I didn't mess up any of the constraints. Okay, so we can see that we've got a kind of size of an image here for each one. So let's load an image into this. To do that, I'm going to need an outlet. So let's get my episode cell. Here's the oh, come on. There's my cell. Sorry, didn't want to show it to me. So I'm going to create an outlet for this. I'll control drag. I don't know what I just did. Oh. Okay, there's my cell. Sorry. So we're going to select this. We're going to control drag it to here. And I'm going to call this episode image view. And going to connect it. All right, so now we have an outlet. I have just written some code. I'm not going to type this out line by line, but I'm going to put it in here and just talk you through what it looks like. So inside our episodes table view, where we've got our cell for road index path, we are going to do a couple of things. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to set the episode image view to be nil. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new property, and this is a good way of storing an image so we're only downloading it once, not every time the cell displays. So here's our episode data. I'm going to create a new property here, and I'm going to call it UI image. And this is going to be an optional UI image. It'll be nil initially, but we're going to use it to store whether an image is downloaded. So our logic here is going to be set the image view to nil. That's because if we reuse a cell, we don't want to have a pre-existing episode image. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to load an image from this UI image property. If it already has an image stored in the episode because we've already downloaded it, like let's say we've loaded this cell, downloaded the image, and it's available, we want to just set the image view image to that. If we don't, and the image is not already downloading, so let's also add a property for that. So these are sort of temporary variables. This is a Boolean, and it can be set to false initially. Then what we want to do is we want to get our image URL from the, I don't want the original image, I think we want the medium version. We're going to perform a request, or we're going to get the URL. Assuming that we can get the request URL, we're going to perform a background task, which is basically everything here. We're going to just print that we're downloading an image to the console so we can see it. We're going to tell the episode that an image is downloading. We'll make it var so we can change it. And when we get back the data, we're going to check that we've got a 200 response. This is the same as what we did in the workshop. And then finally, if we get an image, we're going to set it to the UI image property of that episode. And then we don't actually need this await main actor.run anymore because the frameworks do this for us. And then what we're going to do is, rather than refer to the table view cell in here, which we could do and set the image directly, the problem with that is this function is called once for each table view cell that's displayed on the screen. But we might display this cell and then the user scrolls and that cell is now displaying completely other content. And by the time the image downloads, we've still got a reference to that old cell that's being reused somewhere else, and we load an image into it that isn't right. So instead, the way to do this is we associate the image we've just downloaded with the corresponding episode, and then we ask the table view to reload just that row. And when it does that, it's going to make a new call to this method. And when it does, it's going to notice that there's a UI image for the episode, and it will display it into here. So we can run this and have a look. Oh yeah, and I should say this is not codable because it doesn't have the coding keys anymore. Oh, sorry, the coding keys don't match all of the properties it's got. So because we've got some things that we don't want to make codable, which are these two things, I'll say don't want to be codable. The way we could deal with this is we can create our coding keys and just say the only ones we actually want to make codable are name, season, number, summary, and image. Which this image is really badly named. It'd be better to call it something else. But let's run this and see. So if we wrote the tribe, it doesn't have any episode images. You can see it tries to download them, but doesn't find them. And then, and actually it seems to download it over and over again. And Mandalorian, let's have a look at this. Oh, okay. Am I downloading the same image over and over? It looks like I am. Okay, so I've got something wrong with the logic here because it's trying to download this same image here, and we don't want that. So we've got, let's have a look at what the logic is. We've got episode table view. Our image is downloading is initially false. In here, that's our initial request. Here, we're saying image is downloading true. If the image is not downloading, we get the medium value and we download it. Once we get it back, we say image is downloading false, and we save that into the episode if it works, and we get image is invalid. Okay, so we're not having any issue with image is invalid, but this code is causing some kind of problem here. So we've got images downloading false, and if we get an error here, images downloading false. And where do we update the table view? Here, episode, image view is this. Okay, so what is going on? Let's have a look. First off, we get image downloaded, so it's getting to this point. It's setting the UI image to my particular image, and it's asking the table view to reload. And it should be getting the image from here and setting it here. So let's have a look if this is working, and presumably we should be able to see that an episode has a particular image. So let's run it and have a look. And it never gets to there. So I'm going to set a breakpoint in here and have a look what's going on. Okay, so image has downloaded, and I've got an episode. Okay. Crazy thing that's going on here that causes problems for us, which is something we talked about in, I think, workshop 2 or workshop 1, where we had the difference between structures and classes, and where you keep a reference to an episode here that's out of an array. This is a structure, so it's copy by value. So this is a copy of the version from the array, and when I make a change to it, it's not actually changing it. So we could either change this to be a class, or where I use episode here and I'm setting a value, I could I've got to do it in a few places because I'd need to do it here. Not there. I need to do it here where I'm changing it. I'd need to do it here where I'm changing it. I need to do it here and here. So I'm going to just change it in one place. And this is where we've got episode data. I'm going to change this to be a class. Okay, this is downloaded. Let's just carry on. Whoa, amazing. All right, so if we go to Shogun, we can see as we scroll, these images load in, and then at some point we don't have images for them anymore. Shameless. We see all these. Mandalorian. We see these, and then the tribe, we see some of these. If we go back, you can see they're preloaded. They basically just are stored. Well, if I scroll down and up again, they're stored within the array, but each time I come in here, they are being re-requested and loaded. Like you can see the first 3, and as I scroll down, it will say image, but the image will be cached, so it's just loaded again. All right, thank you for watching. I'll put this up on Moodle